energy.
Go away.
How do you spell gorilla? 2 R's or 2 L's? Gorilla, gorilla. G-O-R-G-G-O-O-G-O!
Just sit tight, Mr. Stevens. The gorilla will get you over our dead bodies.
Dead bodies.
A hot cornet can go, but a hot cornet can't, like Betty Boop can do. A saxophone can go, but a saxophone can't, like Betty Boop can do. This little miss would never miss a chance for vocal tuning, and anytime and anywhere you can hear this lady crooning. An auto horn can go, but an auto horn can't, like Betty Boop can do. Made of pen and ink, she can win you with a wink. Ain't she cute? Sweet Betty.
Betty Boop! Send her in! Aye. Lights out. Howdy ho! Walk this way.
Okay.
Be seated.
Thank you.
Hocus pocus, ibbity bibbity, sibbity sand. Concentrate. I will now bear the naked truth of your baby days. I now see you on a steamer bound for a foreign land.
myself in the morning, all by myself in the night. I am alone, not a single soul is near, so unhappy. Dear, oh dear, oh dear, all by myself. Hurry up, quick! My hero!
Betty!
Oh, Bimbo!
Bunko!
We got to catch him prowling after dark.
Think he's still hanging around the village?
He got Mason, didn't he? And we found new tracks up around Dr. Adrian's house.
Maybe we men of science think different from other people, but if they ever find out in the village what you've been doing...
You mean about the animals?
Yes, some of the dogs have been missed.
Well, that phase of the experiment is all over.
That ape seems to take a fancy to your place. Now, don't take offense, Doctor. I'm just trying to clear up my mind. Them dogs of mine have been sniffing ape for days. It's made them foolish, I guess. Else why'd they snarl at you?
Hey, Doc. What are you going to do to me? I'm going to write you into medical history.
Good evening, goblins and ghouls, and welcome to the Friday Night Scream Stream. I'm your host, Spakenstein, joined as always by my very good friend, Mr. Evan Sink.
Good evening.
How we doing tonight, Evan?
We are great. Happy to be here. We're clocking in. We're working another fright shift.
Mm-hmm. Fright shift, fright crew in the house as always. Thanks for being here tonight, Evan, and thanks everybody out there for tuning in this evening. Here to bring you your weekly dose of public domain horror, like we do every Friday. If you're trying to unwind after a long work week, this is the cure, guaranteed. We've already proved that through 70 plus episodes, and
Scientifically proven.
Evan's a scientist and he approves.
Yeah.
So that's all it takes.
That's how it works.
There you go. So we're here for our 4th episode of season 8, and tonight we're going to be watching The House of Mystery, which is a 1934 old dark house / apecore film. And I'm going to go ahead and get into this right now. There's nothing better for an old dark house to pair with an old dark house film, which is, it's always cold, and damp, and rainy and wet. Nothing better than a warm beverage. And luckily Evan has that teed up tonight. We have to get to it now because part of it is melting.
They're melting quickly.
Melting under the hot lights. So without further ado, as always, Evan brings us a delicious cocktail to pair with the evening's film in a little segment which we call...
What were you drinking?
What are we drinking tonight, Evan?
Well, tonight we have a real treat, and there's really no other way to describe it. We've got something that's real sweet, and it's been on my mind for a little while recently. So if we have any fans of Archer out in the audience, that show's ending, and I've been rewatching the series. And I got to, there's so much drink talk in that show, in the banter, and I got to the episode where he's making the peppermint patty, and that's what we're having tonight. So it's hot chocolate, creme de cacao, creme de menthe, and peppermint schnapps. So chocolate and mint, perfect for a winter night.
Winter night, or an old dark house movie. I think I think this is kind of the perfect cocktail for the moment. So I'm very excited for this. Evan was working really hard before the show to prepare this, and it's already prepared.
Yeah, we already have this ready. It looked a little more impressive a few minutes ago.
When he first brought it up here, oh my gosh, I wish
the presentation was
it was impeccable. It was without fault. The peaks on the whipped cream, you can't tell by looking at it now, but rest assured it was a sight
I had some
to
stiff
behold.
peaks up here.
He really did. And but it still looks delicious. I'm very excited. So
I'd say we give this a try.
Cheers. Cheers,
This is
everybody
the
out there.
peppermint patty.
Oh, man.
Oh,
And we're going to be like wiping these mustaches off
I'm just
for
gonna have
like
whipped cream on my face
half
all-
the show,
the whole show.
unfortunately. That is
Oh, that
so
is so
fucking
good.
smooth,
Yeah.
dude.
That is incredible.
Like, it's just hot chocolate, really, but there is like there's like a rolling
Yeah, it kind of unfolds. I'm getting the chocolate up front, the mint on the back. That's
I'm getting the mint right
that is
now.
such a good drink.
Ooh,
Love that.
I'm glad that you've been tempted to try. This is always a recipe for a great cocktail when it's something that you're tempted to have, whether it's something that you've had before or something that you're making for the first time. You had tried and true the dirty banana and introduced that to me and the show very early, and that was a winner. And this is like on par with that. Like, in the pantheon of the best cocktails, since you've made about 70, over 70 at this point.
Yeah, this is easy top 5 for me.
Without a doubt. This is oh my god. I feel bad because I'm gonna be continuously
So we apologize for that.
yeah, in advance. Like, apologies that we're gonna be pausing every 5 minutes to wipe away.
Just leave it in.
Yeah, we'll just, I mean,
We're doing a got milk thing.
by the end of it, we'll be both be looking like Santa Claus over here. Oh man, so fucking good. That is so good, Evan. You killed it. Oh, everything, the mint. Oh, so good. Creme de menthe, as we said on the mini-sode earlier this week. Never had creme de menthe before.
Yeah,
and
it's pretty good.
It's hitting the spot.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
No, it is as advertised. So this is going to be, I think, the perfect beverage to pair with the evening's film. Again,
as companion to curl up with in our cold dark house.
Mm-hmm. It'll be cold. They always are. What are these big old houses? If they don't have heat in there, those fireplaces aren't going heating those entire mansions. You think? I mean, there have been some pretty extravagant fireplaces, not in the public domain movies that we've seen, but in some of these old movies in these old dark houses. They have these grand fireplaces. Usually, if you've seen, we probably had about 8 old dark house movies on this show. Not all of them have been Poverty Row. All have been low budget, rest assured. But I was kind of joking about it on Wednesday. There are a whole lot of old dark house films from the 30s and 40s that, I mean, there are probably about a dozen that we haven't seen. We could make a whole season out of 30s old dark house movies just to burn through them, because there really are so many. The cool thing about tonight's movie, which I haven't seen, I don't know too much about it, hadn't really heard of it before, but it seems to combine the old dark house formula with apecore, a subgenre. That's what we call it here on the show. Yeah. If you're a loyal viewer, then you know that apecore is our kind of our subgenre term for these movies, with any person in an ape suit, any kind of...
That's pretty much the only prerequisite, I'd say.
Yeah.
A dude in an ape suit, it's an apecore movie.
It's an apecore movie. And we have had one before from the early 30s, The Monster Walks, which we watched back in season 3, I think. But it didn't... The ape core elements were underwhelming, let's say. It wasn't as much of they didn't lean on it as hard as we would have liked. But it seems like tonight's movie may kind of, it really is crucial to the plot, the ape. So
a little more ape action tonight.
Hopefully a little more ape action. Our fingers are crossed. Again, we love our apecore movies. We really do. Any person in an ape suit. Of course, you saw that trailer coming in from the pre-roll. If you saw that trailer for the ape, that was one of our favorite ape suit actors, Crash Corrigan, who we saw out of the suit when we watched Crash Corrigan in Undersea Kingdom. But he was in dozens. I think probably dozens, if not over a dozen films where he played an ape. And the ape was a prominent one. And he was, doing his thing there in the trailer. It was fun to watch. And that was a good movie. Karloff's in it. He's doing his thing, being the mad scientist. And that was a monogram film. Tonight's film is also a monogram film. I did not look up who the actor was in the ape suit for this. I should have. I will look it up during the break. Hold me to that. I need to look up who's playing the ape.
I want to know.
I want to know, and I should have done that research, and I didn't. I have my fact sheet here. Suffice to say, that is not on it, and I feel like an idiot for overlooking that because it should have been obvious. Anyway, I will get that information to you as soon as I have it. Newsman over here now. No, we've seen a fair amount of number of movies from Monogram so far. Again, Bela Lugosi, our patron saint, made 9 movies with Monogram. And we've seen 3 of those, I think. 3 or 4. And so tonight's movie is about 6 years before they got Lugosi. I guess 6 years before they made The Ape, because Monogram also made The Ape, which we saw the trailer for. Tonight's film is an adaptation of the same source material as The Ape.
Okay.
Based on a play called The Ape. If you remember from our episode with The Ape, you'll remember that Kurt Siodmak, the writer who also wrote 13 Demon Street, which we watched in our minisodes last season, he said that was listed as source material, but I never used anything that they listed as source material. I just made up what I wanted. I did my own story. So tonight's film is more a true adaptation of the play, which was an old dark house kind of play with the ape element, much like The Gorilla, which was the other trailer that we saw at the start of the pre-roll tonight. Trailer which I cut together, which somebody else has already uploaded on their channel, and it's the beauty of public domain. Just let it get out there. Whoever, if they were impressed enough to put it, rip it off and put it out there, more power to them. So yeah, this is definitely, it'll have those stagey elements. We'll be in a house most of the time, but it seems like we might get some interesting stuff at the beginning. So I'm excited. I'm excited for this. Some interesting people involved, which we'll talk about. And we'll also just be talking about Ape Core movies tonight, because why not? We can always dig a little deeper into the Ape Core genre. We've only scratched the surface. So we'll be getting...
Got a whole ocean of apes out here.
We really do. We really do. So look out for that wave, because it's about to knock you down. On that note, anything before we get into tonight's movie, Evan?
So I think at least until the break, the real mystery of this house is just who's in the suit.
Who's in the suit? That's the big question tonight. So yeah, that's our mystery. We'll look for it in the credits. I doubt they don't normally list. I want you to believe it's a real ape, even though we all know it's not a real ape. You gotta love it. All right, then without further ado, we're gonna go ahead and get into the exciting beginning of The House of Mystery right now. Already killing it with the music. Heavy on the mystery. Bill Nye? The Bill Nye? And I know the name Paul Malvern from some other movies. That was another thing I meant to look up. Didn't look it up. But I'll do that during the break. Hold me to it. I got research to do during the break.
The players.
The players. Yeah, man. All of them players. George Hayes, biggest player of all. All right, we're not starting in the house just yet.
Yeah.
This is nice. This is good. Ooh, okay.
Hi.
All right, now move it over here.
Well, what do I want? Brandy, sir. Right.
Oh, you know me well, bartender. Barkeep.
Oh, what's the matter? Do I look funny or something? Might it not be well for you to cut down and drink a little?
The hat.
Is that guy's hat a little
Might
big?
bother
way too
you?
big.
Not particularly.
Scary Movie 3 style. It's gonna keep getting bigger.
Where are you going? See that notch dancer again? Now, wait a minute. Don't start telling me my business. You're taking a big chance, Prendergast. Those temple notch dancers are high-caste Hindu girls, and attention from anyone outside their own caste is apt to result in his disappearance some dark night. You mind your own business and keep out of my affairs. Come on, old fella, let's be toddling along. Hey, take your hand off me. Who are you pulling? Just run home and sleep it off. There's a good chap. Just for that, I'm going to have another one. You've had more than you can carry. Getting drunk in this country is a good way to get out of trouble. Yeah? Here, what?
Damn. You're showing this fool. You acting like a fool up in my establishment. You get the hell out. You're banned.
Your knee-high boots, right across.
Why don't you look where you're going?
He's supposed to be an archaeologist, but the only thing he's discovered so far is the dancer Shandu over at the Kelai Temple.
Got him. Uh-oh. It's kind of a wild set for a monogram.
Is that an ape, I suppose?
Oh, it is. It is indeed.
Hiding in plain sight over
and
there.
Look at him back there. He's being very still for an ape. Not often we see an ape just chilling in the background. Oh, two of them.
We got two apes.
I wonder if they're stuffed or dead or something like that. Something like that.
They're just here to see the dancer. They're also drunk on brandy.
Who, the monkeys?
Why hast thou slain one of Kalai's little ones? Well, I didn't mean to kill the little beast. He jumped on my shoulder as I came into the temple, and I struck him with my crop. Why camest thou here to defile our temple by thy presence? Well, the temple's open, isn't it? Take your hands off me, you swine. Silence. Thy speech is as profane as thine act. That's it. Tell my fortune, and find out what these dogs will suffer when the governor hears about this. Through the sacred eyes of Kalai, I see the Sahib has been sent by learned men to our country to wrest from our monuments and temples the history of our wisdom and the history of her past. Sahib has deceived those who sent him. He seeks not the wise men, but their gold. Ere he leaves Asia, his pockets shall be filled to overflowing with bright gold. The gold shall not be his, but he will not scruple to take it, knowing that on every rupee shall be written the curse of Kalai. Devil Sahib, we may not punish thee, but Kalai will not forget. Sometime, somehow, somewhere, Kalai will mete out justice. It is said, Sahanto, Bhavatu, Shanti, Shanti, Om.
A whole bunch of nonsense. Oh my god.
Wait, does he still have the riding crop?
Yep. You would have thought that was the first thing.
What I think of you and your curse.
Oh my god.
Is this where George Lucas got the idea?
Yeah, probably. Ooh, uh-oh. Is he summoning the monkey? Oh!
Okay.
Uh-oh. Oh, is she gonna get him out? Nice. Oh, come on, you could have crashed right through that door.
It's a good thing gorillas can't open doors.
That's how we know it's not Crash, because if it was, he would have just right through it.
How did you happen to be in the temple?
I had departed from the temple after the dancing ceremony. But when I knew that Sahib was in danger, I went back to help him.
How did you know that I was in danger?
My people feel the troubles of those they love.
Uh-oh. Wow. 2 peas in a really shady pod.
That's very interesting. It was almost 20 years ago, Mr. Ellis.
Proceed, Professor Potter.
Well, my colleagues here and in England financed this expedition. That is, Mrs. Potter and I, put this Prendergast in charge. We understood that the backers were to share in the glory or the profits that might result.
Come to the point.
Yeah.
Don't be
Thanks,
so long-winded.
Hyacinth, control yourself. You know, I can't see a thing without my glasses.
Well, why don't you put them on?
Okay, Velma.
I'm afraid I left them at home.
Oh, they're in your pocket. Stupid.
Don't be absurd, Hyacinth.
And you want me to find this Prendergast, is that it?
I have found, that is, Mrs. Potter and I have found this Prendergast. It seems that...
I was out shopping one day last week, and my attention was attracted to a Hindu woman who gave her name to the clerk as Mrs. Prynne. Now, I put 2 and 2 together and did a little snooping.
Mrs. Potter means investigating.
I said snooping, and I certainly mean snooping.
And what did you snoop? I mean, find out.
That this Mrs. Prynne and her husband live on a big estate in the suburbs. This Mr. Prynne is an invalid in a wheelchair, and he's attended by an English nurse.
Do you believe this Mr. Prynne really is Prendergast?
I know it. Any man would need more than 20 years and a pair of paralyzed legs to fool me.
Wow.
And
Not
you
going
both
to
want
get
to share
anything
in
over
this
on
Hindu
her.
pleasure, is that it?
Certainly.
Well, naturally, it would strengthen our position if I were to act as attorney for all the investors. Have you the names and addresses of these people by any chance?
Ah, I have it.
You're crazy. I have it.
The cranial fissure on Homo neanderthal is an endemic aberration. I knew I'd find it if I kept on.
What?
What is going on?
I don't know.
This is just...
That's the absent-minded creature that I've been
derailed
living with
a
for
little bit.
35 years. And now he'll spend the day in the museum among the mummies. And when he comes home tonight, he'll tell me he lost something. And if he does, I'll crown the numbskull with a poker. Here is the
Wow.
the list of the investors.
Love to be at home
It's
with
correct,
that.
except that some of them
Lovely
have
couple.
died. But you get in touch with all of them, except the dead ones.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Yes, sir. I just hear it immediately in the John Cleese Monty Python voice. Is it Jerome Ellis?
Before we begin, I should like to check over this list and see if the remaining investors or heirs are all present. Mrs. Potter and Professor
Here we
Potter, I
go.
know.
The heirs.
Mr. John Armstrong.
Right. I'd like to get this over with as soon as possible. I'm in the insurance business, and I have a couple of hot prospects for this afternoon.
But we shan't keep you long, Mr. Armstrong.
Just like an
Mrs.
insurance
Geraldine
salesman.
Carfax.
Yes, I'm here.
although I did have to get off my deathbed to get here. You see, I suffer so from indigestion, and my blood pressure is so low that
I'm in the insurance business. Won't you read over our new policy?
Nice.
We have a
no one will ever be able to cure you but the spirit. No.
I beg your pardon, but I don't believe I've had the pleasure.
Stella is my companion, and I never go anywhere without her. You see, I have fainting spells due to my operation.
Let's get down to business.
Mr. David Fell.
I'm here.
Say, maybe I can interest you in a... Thank you very much.
Now, you ladies and gentlemen represent the remaining investors or heirs of the investors of the Prendergast archaeological expedition.
I should like to know, that is, Mrs. Potter and I should like to know, what became of the English investors?
There were but two of them, and they died 6 months ago, suddenly and very mysteriously.
Mysteriously?
They were murdered. Scotland Yard is still investigating the case.
That's neither here nor there. Have you seen this Pren person?
Yes, Mrs. Potter, I have. He admitted his identity and explained that he changed his name to Pren for personal reasons. He informed me that he would be very glad to see and meet the investors and discuss a settlement on certain conditions.
And what conditions?
Mr. Pren will explain all the conditions tomorrow night. He wants to have you all at his home at 8:30.
There it is.
Well, if you meet me here in my office at 7:30, we can all go out together.
Okay, I'll be here. And incidentally, while I'm gone, I wish you'd look this policy over.
I shan't be able to go, my dear. I must be at the museum. They're going to unwrap the mummy of Ramesses IV.
Listen, you worm. You'll be at Mr. Pren's house tomorrow night and forget all about the Ramesses IV, or I'll make a mummy out of Potter the First.
Ramesses, I used to smoke them. Well, I beg your pardon, Professor. I'll keep my attitude.
You don't hear anybody use the insult worm these days as much. Worm. You worm. Especially a wife to her husband. There's
Although I ridicule the whole thing as an ancient superstition, I came to know that the priest was right. Suddenly, in the dead of the night, I hear the soft poundings of the tom-toms. Grotesque shadows appear on the walls. Great hairy hands press on my throat, strangling.
Nice.
Touching me. Caressing me.
My health has been destroyed.
Turn into some kind of a romance smut novel?
See, I'm a helpless cripple. All these years, I've wandered over the globe, seeking some place where I could find peace. But nowhere in this world can you escape the curse of Kali. Finally, I went back. I wanted to return the treasure to the temple, but the priests wouldn't take it. They said it was a curse. I've often thought of the original investors in the expedition, and I wanted to give them what was rightfully theirs. I was afraid that the curse would be carried on to anyone who had any part of the treasure.
I love
Finally,
how curses just transfer.
I went to England and gave two of them their share. Within a month, both of these people had been found murdered. Then I knew I was right, that the curse of Kali would extend on to anyone who possessed any part of the treasure. I realized my days were numbered, So I came home. Back to the United States.
Oh, okay. Didn't know where we were.
To spend my last days in the country of my birth.
Fantastic. Fiddlesticks.
If you're so afraid of apes and monkeys, Mr. Prynne, what have you got that one for?
I had an obsession several years ago that I might conciliate Kali by being good to the animals that were sacred to him. I made large endowments to zoological gardens for the care of monkeys. And that one I raised and kept with me until he died. There was no use. Kali would not be appeased.
And then I stuffed it
This is all
because I'm
very
sure that's
interesting,
going to
Mr.
appease the monkey
But
god.
I should like to know when we are going to get our money.
When you've learned to appreciate the curse that goes with it.
Just what do you mean by that?
I'll give you all your shares on one condition. That you come here and live in this house with me for a week and learn what happens to the possessor of it.
Why, this is absurd. It's just a scheme to cheat us out of our money.
Pay me my share immediately or go to court about it.
Mr. Feld,
Hey, go to court about it.
it would take you much longer than
we're
a
gonna
week
go to court
get
about
the money by litigation. My terms are really quite easy. Shanda is an excellent cook, and I've engaged a new maid.
I suppose you're going to tell us that's one of your 8 ghosts.
No, the phenomena I've been describing is not as easily explained as what you've just heard. That's a plumber putting in a new heating system.
I consider Mr. Prynne's conditions very reasonable. And as your attorney, I suggest that you comply with them.
Well, I sincerely hope that you'll take
I'm the
Mr.
attorney
Ellison's
for all of
advice.
you. We're going to do what I say.
And if you do, I'll expect you
I say we're
anytime
having a
tomorrow.
sleepover.
Wait a minute, Mr. Prynne. We have a right to know where that money is.
It's here, in this house. Over $2 million in gold and jewels.
$2 million? I'll stay. I'll stay.
Try and get me out of here. Just try and get me out.
Oh my God. Why don't you
Are
go
you
sell
satisfied?
insurance somewhere else, you creep?
I still have time to see Ramesses unwrapped.
Oh, forget about Ramesses and try remembering where you put your hat.
Got him. She's burning her poor husband left and right. Oh my God. All right, here's the comic relief. Okay. This guy looks like
Hilarious plumber.
he belongs in a silent movie. He doesn't even.
Yeah.
What is this?
Oh, dear. I feel terrible. You know, all this excitement has brought on my nervous indigestion again.
Well, they say that's the beginning of the end.
Oh, don't be silly, Stella.
Well, my grandmother felt just like that 5 minutes before she died.
Oh, don't be
You have
looking
5
there.
minutes to live.
The money isn't hidden in here.
Well, I've read in stories that the best way to hide anything is to put it in the most obvious place.
It's probably locked up in the safe down his room.
Put it under
I
the
know one
mattress.
thing. Tonight, I'm going to have a seance.
Yeah.
Pocahontas can tell me where the money is.
And
Pocahontas.
that is going to take us to our first break. Go ahead, Evan. Go ahead.
I've been talking to Pocahontas. She knows where the money is.
Pocahontas knows all. She's an old friend of mine. We go way back.
I'm the one who set her up with John Smith.
Worked out really good for me. Not so good for her. That is the exciting first third of the House of Mystery. What do we think so far, Evan?
Not bad, not bad. We've got our setup here. I liked our drunken archaeologist antics. That was kind of fun.
Yeah, he was really, I mean, the fact that he came back with any gold is pretty surprising for his
Yeah.
state of inebriation, because he was just getting into fights with everybody. He fucking, the whole reason he got wrapped up in the temple was for beating up a monkey. I mean, what a douchebag.
Yeah, I'm sure his investors would have loved to know that he's just going on expedition, getting loaded.
Yeah.
hanging out at the temple to ogle the dancers.
spending all their money on booze. I mean, that's the free vacation, basically, right? I mean, I worked out well enough for him, man. He got all this gold. Yeah, I mean, it was that was a kind of a nice way to open the movie, with a little bit of a kind of a establishing. I don't know. Yeah, it's almost like a prologue in a way.
Yeah. It's
Like,
nice that, we did get that other location before we had the house. Because it's one thing just to tell the audience this archaeologist came back from expedition. And he has
Right.
all these jewels. And it's another thing to show us.
right. Which I feel like even the Monster Walks had something like that, where something had taken place in another country years ago. And yeah, the fact that Monogram even had the budget to be able to. Now, this was old Monogram kind of went through some like changes in between like this and the Lugosi days. Basically, they around I think 2 years after tonight's movie, or a year actually after tonight's movie, they were merged along with a bunch of other Poverty Row studios to create Republic. Republic? Yeah, Republic. Which was a studio that went on to release a whole bunch of serials and westerns and all kinds of stuff. But they were formed by just combining all these Poverty Row studios. Well, after like a few years, the guy that originally created Monogram was like not happy with his like deal with Republic, so he reestablished Monogram in 1937. And so that's when you started getting Lugosi movies, and they had like Karloff made 5 films for Monogram, most of which were the Mr. Wong series of movies where he played a detective.
Yeah.
Not that those don't really hold up.
That
very
haven't
well.
aged very gracefully.
No, but all of those movies were directed by the director of tonight's film, William Nye, Bill Nye, as I like to call him,
The movie guy.
the movie guy, and yeah, he directed, also directed The Ape, which we saw the trailer. A lot of connections to The Ape,
Yeah.
obviously, which Monogram made 6 years after tonight's film. He also did Black Dragons, which is one of the Lugosi Monogram movies, which we'll watch eventually, and an obscure Universal B movie called The Strange Case of Dr. RX, which has Lionel Atwell. It's not
Dr.
very
Prescription.
good. It doesn't. Yeah, Dr. Prescription. That's what I don't know why he's called. It doesn't make any sense. I don't know.
Strange case of picking up your medicine.
I don't know if it has something to do with the fact that Lionel Atwell wears these like really thick prescription glasses as Dr. RX or what. But, it could explain Dr. Prescription. And so yeah, the director was a veteran of Monogram, and but this is pre the heyday of Monogram. This was still their early days. And it is, we're starting to get the mystery in with the killer gorilla angle,
Yeah, I like this curse angle. It's kind of just hovering over the whole thing.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of a nice way to tie it all in. And it being the early 30s, you don't know if they're actually going to play it as a real curse or if it's going to turn out that it's a person in a suit or something like that.
Just bullshitting the whole time.
It could be, but again, it kind of speaks to the whole interesting thing about having a killer ape as your monster, which is it's such a unique thing really for these Poverty Row horror movies. And so it's interesting to try to trace back the origins of like, where do you get that trope of a killer ape?
Yeah, I wonder what's the first.
Well, about as much as I can figure it looks like it was the Edgar Allan Poe story Murders in the Rue Morgue.
Okay.
Which, I don't know if you knew this, and this is really interesting fact for the audience too. That is actually the first ever detective story.
Really?
Yeah, the word detective. So it came out in 1940 or 1841. The word detective did not even exist at this time.
I did not know that.
How crazy is that? Yeah,
He coined that.
There's a detective in the story named Dupin, I think, something like that. And there's a gorilla going around like murdering women, and it has all these like tropes of detective stories, kind of like, the ineffectual like law enforcement who are kind of bumbling, and so it's the detective is the one having to like step up and solve the case, and he's got his own method of how he solves cases, like how he rationalizes cases.
Okay, well, that's really interesting.
I did not know. Yeah, I was like doing this today. I was like, huh, that is like
pretty much the entire time we've done the show. I've kind of wondered like where this stuff comes from.
Yeah, and
it finally answers that question.
I couldn't find anything earlier. I'm pretty sure that it comes from Murders in the Rue Morgue, and it's kind of the most premier ape core story outside of King Kong that you'll see like produced during the kind of the whole life cycle of ape core, and so you have different adaptations at these different stages. So early stage ape core first adaptation was the 32 adaptation starring Bela Lugosi from Universal Pictures. That's the first trailer we're going to see for tonight, is the adaptation of Murders in the Rue Morgue, and it's okay. I think it got cut up a lot. Like a lot of scenes got deleted, and because it was pre-code, and so there was this kind of scandalous stuff, and it was made by this French director who is really big on expressionism. So there's all these kind of weird touches to it. And Lugosi is really, he's coming right off the heels of Dracula. That was like his next kind of, when he didn't end up playing the part of Frankenstein's monster, that was his next Universal horror role, was the Mad Doctor in Murders in the Rue Morgue. So, and then the second trailer we're going to see is for a later adaptation of Murders in the Rue Morgue from 1971. And I'm pretty sure that it doesn't even feature a real ape. In the original Poe story, it's an orangutan. In the 32 version with Lugosi, it's a gorilla, because they just realized it's easier to make a gorilla suit for a man to be in than try to make like some kind of a chimpanzee.
Yeah, it's also I mean, a gorilla's scarier than an orangutan.
Orangutan,
for sure.
yeah. Yeah, oh, without a doubt, definitely more physically imposing. And so by the 71 adaptation, the director, I read a quote today, he was like, a gorilla as a murderer, it just doesn't work nowadays. Like, and that's in 71. They'd already like, this is already out of fashion. This is kind of the tail end of like ape core. You don't really, I think there may be 2 or 3 other adaptations of Murders in the Rue Morgue that come after the 71 version, but nothing super prominent. And I believe that the new Netflix show, what is it? The
House of Usher.
House of Usher has an episode based on, because it's all like amalgamation of different Poe stories. So I think they have one that's kind of based on some elements from Murders in the Rue Morgue. So it is, maybe that's some recent ape core. Who knows? Maybe I'll have to go check it out.
I haven't checked that out yet. But I might have to.
Might have to. But yeah, Murders in the Rue Morgue would kind of really set the stage, I think, for the ape core that we would get throughout the 30s and the 40s, and eventually up to kind of the later stage, which we'll talk about later in the show. But we're going to get these two trailers, and then we come back, we'll get into the exciting middle of The House of Mystery. So stick around, we'll be right back.
Dr. Miracle in the Rue Morgue is guilty of 4 murders so far this week, and by now perhaps a 5th.
More of sin and horror, the soul of the plot.
Now, open your eyes. Three murders in the Rue Morgue, Mr. Charon. All 3 victims mutilated with vigil. I would say the pattern is established.
Now, Edgar Allan Poe's masterpiece, Murders in the Rue Morgue, inspires a totally new motion picture experience, a new dimension in horror, a terrifying trauma where blood-chilling dreams come true.
Marrow is dead. Marrow was buried, but he was buried alive.
No, that's impossible. He committed suicide. We all saw him.
Yes, but the dead can walk. Marrow was completely insane.
He's the one who killed your mother. Must a man die twice for his crimes, Cesar? He's mad.
Beneath the mask of the beast is the evil power which terrorizes a city. The nightmare of horror which begins with the murders in the Rue Morgue.
And we are back. So those were 2 trailers for some Murders in the Rue Morgue adaptations. And yeah, Evan and I were both definitely surprised by the prominence of the Murders in the Rue Morgue as, you know, kind of in detective fiction and then kind of ape fiction. It's not one that you think about a lot, but Poe was that guy. He was influential.
Yeah.
He was the man. So It's definitely it's kind of weird to think of an ape as an antagonist, but it's nice that they're working in a curse angle in tonight's movie. We're getting an explanation that isn't just,
There's just an ape on the loose.
yeah, I mean, which a lot, I
It's
mean,
usually just the conceit, right? Like I kind
yeah.
of wonder, like, I haven't really read the story, but like where did Poe get the idea? Like, did he go to the zoo one time and was just like, damn, it'd be crazy if that thing got loose, wouldn't it?
Yeah, see, I didn't read the Wikipedia article that hard, unfortunately. I should have. I should have seen what
It's okay. We'll
Poe's.
have more Ape Core movies to
We
talk
did. We
over.
will have another one this season. But it is kind of weird to think about, you know, just the origins of it being with, Edgar Allan Poe of all people. It's so funny to think that he was an American writer that was just influential around the world, and he was
Yeah.
just like, kind of like, no offense, but he seems to me to be painted in history as kind of a deadbeat a little bit, like kind of like a. He gets a
Little,
bad
yeah.
rap, does it? Or is it just me like that thinks that? Like, I mean, he's obviously renowned, but I mean, he's also, I think kind of parodied past a certain point. I mean, obviously the Vincent Price movies didn't entirely help. They kind of just painted it as ridiculous stuff.
Yeah, well, I mean, every depiction, and I guess he did kind of look like it, but he looks pretty much exactly how you would expect someone who writes that kind of stuff to look.
Yeah, but I mean, you look at his life, his background, like, didn't he go to he went to military school at like West Point or somewhere. Like, did you know that?
I didn't know that. Yeah,
Yeah,
didn't know
like
much about his
I mean, he was
personal
from,
life.
he was either from Virginia or lived in Virginia. So he was very like, his whole life and backstory. I remember reading about it when I was like, might have been in 6th grade. I was trying to read these like books, and there was one book that like dramatized like his whole life in a detective story, but it was like YA. What was it? It was I don't remember what it was called, but I didn't finish it. I always start books and get to maybe 3/4 of the way through, and then I do not finish. So that's the thing. If I try to start reading Murders in the Rue Morgue, I probably won't finish it, but
Yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, I guess I can't really ape on Poe too much, because if I was like a guy in the 40s and I saw a gorilla, like how many people back then even saw a gorilla in Virginia or whatever?
Right. Yeah, I think I do remember when I was scanning the article, there was something about maybe he was inspired by this news report about this gorilla that had gotten loose and murdered somebody or something. I don't know.
Okay.
So there might have
Well, I guess
been.
if that actually it's easier if that actually happened. I mean, I don't know.
I mean, what are all writers just kind of borrowing from something?
Yeah.
Poe is no different. Even though he invented the detective story.
Yeah, that is
which is
that
kind
is
of the
wild.
other thing that is like
what?
Yeah. Who knew? Edgar Allan Poe, inventor
What
of
did they call him
detectives.
before then? Like you had not a
Sherlock Holmes
police
was after, like,
yeah, that's.
I mean,
so
it
strange.
just didn't have. I don't know. I mean,
Constable, is that
maybe, but when you think about detective fiction as a genre, like the idea of the detective who is independent of the law,
private detective?
yeah, the PI, yeah, there is something to be said for like questioning, oh, where did that start? And apparently, and the story takes place in France, in Paris. So that's the other thing. Edgar Allan Poe being an American author, setting stories in France. I'm sure he went there. It'd be funny if he never went. I'm pretty sure he
would
went
be
to
funny.
Europe.
It would be funny. Chambers, the guy who did King in Yellow, he does the same thing where he like writes a lot about France or Paris. Like, he also does Rue Blanc for some of his stories.
Okay.
But I'm pretty sure he like studied in Paris. There's like an artist's quarter or whatever where he studied.
Okay.
So I don't know if Poe did the same thing.
Yeah, I don't
It would be
know.
funny if he didn't.
Yeah, I think it would be hilarious. A lot of Poe's stories are kind of based in Europe or in other kind of locations around the world. So yeah, maybe he never left the Eastern Seaboard. Maybe, probably. I guess I'll have to do some Poe research and get the answers to that. But
yeah. We've got some research to do.
We do. On top of all the other research I've got.
Yeah. Before we get to that though,
we have to get through the exciting middle of the House of Mystery. And so far, we've had this priest who's put this curse on this really drunk archaeologist, and 35 years later, the curse is finally paying off. And but the archaeologist couldn't go out of this world without dragging 10 other people into his mess and passing the curse along to them as well, because it's a horror movie. You got to pass the curse on. That's the
human chain letter, John Prendergast.
Yeah. Essentially, that's what we have here. It's definitely a Ring type scenario, except instead of 7 days, it could be as long as 35 years. You don't know. God, that would suck. To have a curse on you and have to wait so long for it to finally kill you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God.
I think
give
at
me
that
7
point,
days over 35 years any day.
That's just called being alive. Oh, I'm cursed.
I guess that's true.
Damn
That's
it,
a good point. Yeah, at this point, if I get cursed and it takes 35 years, I'll have lived a long, full life. I don't think I'll be too upset.
the next time I see the obits and they say died of natural causes, I'll think they were cursed.
Dang, that goddamn curse. Oh yeah, no, it's some interesting story devices already in the first third of this. So then we're gonna get our traditional or old dark house type stuff. It seems like now everybody's in the house and we've got all the players lined up.
All the players. We got players. We got a stuffed gorilla. Question mark.
Yes, it is stuffed.
Okay.
But as we've seen, even a stuffed gorilla can be brought to life at the snap of a finger or whatever he did. He used some kind of chemical or, I don't know, some kind of aerosol, and boom, it was moving around.
Instant ape.
I love that. That's great. Yeah, that's what we're dealing with tonight. So, yeah, anything before we get into it, Evan?
I think I'm ready.
And we're going to go ahead and get into the exciting middle of the House of Mystery right now. This guy.
Plumber.
Yeah.
Groucho Marx.
So this guy, this is George Gabby Hayes, who would go on to be a famous Western sidekick. He looks nothing like he would look in those later movies. In the later movies, he's a big white beard, long white hair. He's wearing all,
wearing
crazy
a red
clothes.
suit.
And he talks like this. And then, now he's a little more
There's
reserved.
presence in them Dar Hills.
Yeah, he's the sheriff is near. That's him in
Hello.
Blazing Saddles. Not the actual
Gate,
actor,
please.
just a
This is
parody
Gate.
of
This is
his
Phelps.
mannerisms.
You'll have to give me another day.
Yeah, and that's all you'll get. Nobody watches in the game with me than does me out of $5 grand. Yeah, and have that dough tomorrow or else.
All right.
Stakes.
I'll get it somehow.
We're going to get this for every character. Every character has a reason they need the money. I hope so.
Every character is being harassed by this same guy.
Well, that'd be really economical.
I got
Makes
him in the
sense.
trench room.
Monogram.
How did you know it was Mr. Prynne's room?
Goodbye.
He's tiptoeing around. What?
Still selling insurance.
Murder. Great time to bring up the
Thank
murder
you, Mr.
insurance
Armstrong.
policy.
That's
If
quite
you
all
get
right, Miss
murdered,
Browning.
you get
It is Miss, not Mrs.
no taxes on your reimbursement.
I'm suffering with heart trouble and dizzy spells
Oh, how long has this been going on?
ever since I first met you.
That is probably temporary. You'll get over it.
Oh, no, if you promise to take my case, Doctor, I'll never get over it.
Your nerves seem to be very good.
Ah, in my business, you need nerve. I'm in the insurance business. Can I interest you in a policy?
Need nerves of steel
Really?
to sell
Yes.
insurance.
My policy is never to get intimate with strangers.
Good. Now that we're practically engaged, tell me, how did you come to get mixed up with the Friends, the Hindus, and the apes?
Well, I was engaged as a private nurse in London by Mr. Prynne.
Oh, so you're English. Oh, I'm so happy. I always wanted to marry an English girl so I could have crumpets and tea for breakfast.
Then I'm afraid you're going to be disappointed.
Oh, don't tell me you can't make crumpets.
No, I can't
This
make
guy's
crumpets.
supposed to be our
I don't
hero because
like
I
tea,
want to punch him in the
and I'm not
face.
thinking of getting married.
Tell me, what do you make of all this ape business?
I don't know.
I feel like we've heard that in every Ape Corps movie.
At night, I hear strange noises, tom-toms, and footsteps on the stairs. I've often had to give Mr. Prynne first aid treatment when he's been nearly frightened to death.
What kind of first
You're
aid do you
scared,
administer for someone who's being
Yes,
frightened to
jobs
death?
are scarce, and Mr.
I don't
Prynne
know,
pays me
that's
twice
a
as much as I could get anywhere
Good
else.
question. I think back in those days, you just punch him in the heart
Has it ever
20
occurred to you
times
that this
until
whole
they
thing might be a fake,
come
a
to.
hoax on Pren's part?
Oh, that couldn't be, Jack. Why, the thing is gradually killing Mr. Prynne.
That woman gives me the creeps.
Shonda is a strange person.
Person? Huh? She looks more like Gandhi's ghost.
Is he? What? Just can't even. I don't even know how to respond to that. Uh-oh. We're reconnecting.
Frontal
We
osteality
disconnected.
is
Oh.
egregiously recessive.
You can't pause the
Yes.
movie.
I suppose you know
All
that
right, good. We're
caused by
back.
the
We're
malconjunction of the
reconnected.
prenatal
I don't know what
hiatus.
happens.
Quite
Sorry
right.
about that.
I guess if that guy got a stranglehold on your throat, it'd be just too bad, eh? Yes, his gargantuan prehensility would be titanic. You don't say so. I'm sorry. Oh, Mr. Ellis. Yes? Here's something might interest you. A book on the law.
Well, goodbye.
Oh,
Oh, don't forget, I have a patient to take care of.
but I'm about to have a heart attack.
Save it till later.
Why don't you buy your own insurance policy? Is there a law against that?
Time for your medicine, Mr.
You can't
Kent.
take out your own
wondering where you
insurance
were.
policy.
I was out in the garden with Mr. Armstrong. You know, he's really a very likable person.
Aren't you afraid I'll get jealous?
You couldn't be anything but your nice old self. Now, come on. Come on. Please.
It's very interesting. Let's take a walk in the garden, Professor.
Well, all right. A little fresh air might do me good.
I don't think so.
Professor, I want to show you this.
Oh, there you are, you idiot.
You
What did you
worm.
do with your clothes?
Why, I packed them in a suitcase.
Oh, you did. You're quite sure of that.
Yes, my dear, I remember because
At the same time, I packed the dismembered bones of Ptolemy III and sent them to the museum.
You numbskull. You sent your clothes to the museum and packed Ptolemy III in your suitcase.
Why, Hyacinth, I can hardly realize...
Yes, you did.
Hyacinth? Her
Now you
name
get
is
Ptolemy III
Hyacinth?
off of my bed.
No
or
wonder
he'll spend
she's
the rest
such
of
a-
his days at the garbage can.
So
beg your
mean to
pardon,
him.
Mrs. Potter.
It's just a terrible name.
Something important I want to show you and the professor. It came to my office this morning. Do not permit your clients to remain in the Pren house. They will be killed, one by one.
Uh-oh.
Scotland Yard.
It's a lot of bodies. I'm here for it. Let's go.
I've never been to a seance. I've heard they're lots of fun.
Oh boy, a
The only
seance.
spirits I know anything about are the 100 proof kind.
Mr. Armstrong, this is no time for levity. We may all learn something of vital interest to all of us.
Professor Potter, what are your ideas on psychical phenomena?
I don't believe anything I can't see.
Anything you can't see, why, you're as nearsighted as a bat.
No.
I don't believe in electricity.
We shall now all place our hands upon the table. Place your left hand over your neighbor's right. We shall now concentrate. What's the matter with you? You look foolish.
Is that how she concentrates?
We must
Yelling at her
have
husband?
all the lights out. You who have gone beyond the borders of time and place, hear our pleas for enlightenment.
Did she have to sing it?
Pocahontas, is it thee? Speak to me. Tell me what force of evil afflicteth this household. What is that which afflicts our nostrils and enervates our senses?
Pocahontas, what's that
It
smell?
is I, Pocahontas, will answer thee. This night, one of you will pass beyond the veil. Beware. The vapors of death surround all of you. Look!
It's a reflection of that.
Oh, don't be absurd. Oh, it's moving. Turn up the light.
Where's the switch? Over by the door.
What is it? What's the matter? Mrs. Carter!
Uh-oh. Who's dead?
She's dead.
Maybe we could revive her.
I don't think so. Her neck is broken.
This is the kind of thing that's haunted me for years. And it will end only when I'm in my grave.
Oh, what do you think we should do, Horatia?
Get Ptolemy the Third and get out of here.
Pocahontas was right.
Wait a minute.
Was it the sick woman?
Where did you come from?
Outside.
What are you doing in here?
Same as everybody else, I guess.
Well, what were you doing outside?
Looking inside.
No. Why were you outside looking inside?
I was trying to get a line on the thief.
What thief?
The guy that stole my monkey wrench.
I think this is a bug house.
The house is all right. It's the people that are in it.
You're right.
The first thing to do is to send for the police.
What can the police do?
Maybe they could find my monkey wrench.
Yeah. What can they do?
Nobody can solve this mystery but Pocahontas.
Never heard of him.
Yeah.
Hey, this Pocahontas is the one that caused all this
Get
trouble. As
Pocahontas
far
in
as I'm concerned, you can take her right back and sit her down in her wigwam.
I can guarantee you Pocahontas doesn't want
that
anything
woman.
to do with this. She does not want to be dragged
There
out of the
you are,
afterlife
folks.
to deal
Now
with a
you
bunch
can
of
see what
rich
confronts
white
us.
people
Death
and
is
some
just
Hindu
around the
curse.
corner. Have yourself insured. Take out one of our new $20,000 policies. Easy payment.
This guy is really... Oh, is this the Ritz brothers?
Oh, they're finally here.
Don't let nobody interrupt.
Oh, we should be so lucky. These look a lot more like gangsters than cops.
Yeah.
Striding into the crime scene, looking at everybody.
That is prohibition.
Nice body you got there. Be a real shame if something happened to it.
Did you? I hope you appreciated that really nice Law and Order level crack that the cop made. Better than prohibition. Dun, dun, ba, 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 dum, bum.
There's been a murder committed here. Who did it?
That's your business.
Listen, lady, Inspector Pickens of the Homicide Squad don't
Listen,
take no lip
lady.
from nobody.
Oh, Horatio, I'm being insulted.
No.
I'll have you know, this is my wife.
All
I
right,
hope
your
not.
apology is
I
accepted.
hope it's just my voice.
Who owns this joint?
My home.
This is room
Well, my
filling with
guess.
helium.
Yeah, I've been
Huh?
slowly
My
pumping
friend.
the room full of helium.
All right, Penn, how did it happen?
We were having a seance when Miss Carfax was strangled by the ape.
The ape?
No, not this one. This is a stuffed ape.
What?
Stuffed ape.
Hey, you. Where you going? Get a drink of water. Well, don't try to leave the house. And that goes for everybody here. Well?
It's a long story, officer.
We'll make it a short story and...
Run, run, run.
I'm really thirsty.
Now, officer, you know as much about it as we do.
Hindus, tom-toms, apes, haunted houses. Say, are you sure
He
this
is a Ritz
seance
brother.
wasn't a sleigh ride?
No.
Sure, I don't understand.
That line delivery, though.
Yeah.
All right, what do you got?
Haunted houses.
The phenomena
They don't pay me
with
enough
the
to
frontal
deal with
development
this.
of the
Like, what-
orangutan must be indigenous to all the anthropoids.
Gosh, you have got it. Wait a minute. Where you going?
To the zoo.
Well, sit down. You're in one right now.
Sit down, Horatio.
Pipe down. I'm getting the orders around here.
Yeah, somebody
Where?
needs to put her in her place.
You go out and search the house.
It's about
and grounds.
time.
You see any apes or anything that looks like monkey business, bring it in here.
Okay.
You go out and watch the back door and don't let nobody out.
Anything that looks like monkey business.
See, you gotta appreciate they're trying with the puns.
What?
He gave it his all. That was great.
Is the coroner gone yet? Yeah, he took the body with him. No apes? No apes. No apes. No apes.
Why are these guys like
That
they're?
Hindu woman does all
It's
the
like they're
cooking
trying to
and
be
housekeeping.
comic
You don't know
relief and they're also really serious
You
at
know
the same
what?
time.
Something funny going
They're
on. around
worse
here.
than the Ritz brothers.
I don't think the guy in the
Yeah.
wheelchair is
At
crippled.
least the Ritz brothers were zany.
Struck
These
me
guys
like
are
this
like,
morning. It
it's,
struck
they
me
have the
too.
same
Hey,
dialogue,
you
but they're
go down
not
and find out
zany
whether he's
enough.
really paralyzed or not. Be clever about it. Use your beam. Be subtle. Subtle. Subtle.
There, how's that? Is that comfortable?
My dear, I don't know what I'd do without you.
I really think you owe it to yourself to take out a policy. The way things are now, we don't know when one of us is going to be murdered.
But who would I make the beneficiary? Now that Mrs. Carfax is gone, I have no one left but Pocahontas.
Well, leave it to Pocahontas. One thing, she won't squander it.
I do hope all
This
this
dude
excitement
is
doesn't
just-
affect you, Mr. Pran.
That's quite all right. Any clues yet, officer?
No, but I'm on the Taylor one right now. Look!
I don't want anybody to leave the room.
I wish we could rewind that.
What bit? Just a little bit.
Are you sure you lost it in here?
No, I think I lost it in the garage.
Why don't you go out there and look for it?
I don't think you're supposed to do that if you're a cop.
That was better than the Ritz brothers.
What did you find out?
Oh,
I found out
man.
he's paralyzed, all right. Didn't let anybody know what you were after, did you? You think I'm done? Huh? I was subtle, just like you said.
Subtle. Oh, here we go.
Yeah, real subtle.
So the name of the actor playing the ape, I looked it up. It is Emil Van Horn. I need to see. I'm sure he's played
There
the
it
ape
is again.
before. I
What
gotta
is
see
it?
where.
The Tom.
In The Ape Man with Lugosi, which we saw in season 1, actually.
It's in there. Clancy. Hey, let me at that thing.
Uh-oh, who's next?
That's the end of the ape. Hey, get a dose of his own medicine. The strangest looking ape I ever saw.
What?
Why,
Is it a
it's
suit?
not an ape, it's a man. Oh, my goodness.
Fells. So Fells was the murderer. Oh, no, it can't be. It has to be. You people saw an ape, and here it is.
Yes, but Fells was at the table when we saw the ape's hands, when Mrs. Carfax was killed.
Ah, you were seeing things. What's that smell?
Incense.
So I guess that was the end of Gabby Hayes. I wish they would show these dead bodies, but hard to tell.
Now
Like,
that I
who, like,
remember,
wait, who is it?
incense
Yeah,
was
take a
burning in
quick
a
head
bowl
count.
behind Mrs. Carfax.
So what? We've caught the ape that killed Carfax.
You forget one thing, Inspector.
Yeah, what?
Who killed Fells?
Yeah, I never thought of that.
Fell's neck was broken just like Mrs. Carfax's.
So what?
A creature of superhuman strength did the killing.
Yeah? Well, if it was an ape, how did he... Ah, so this is the way you got in and out. Listen, you mugs, you go and find that ape, or you'll be pounding the beef.
Oh, Chief, we looked all over the joint.
You'll be pounding the beef?
Who's this guy, Jamie
Search
Taco?
everything and find that Tom gadget. No son of an
He's
ape's gonna
taking
make enough
everybody's
out of me.
lines.
Come on now, get going. Don't come back without some information. Come on, outside everybody.
Don't come back without some information. Syncopate, syncopate.
Poor Fells. I can't understand it.
What I can't comprehend is the reason for the monkey suit.
I think the explanation for that is relatively easy. Fells was heavily in debt. He knew the money was in the house and made up his mind to get it. No doubt he got that gorilla suit when he went to town this afternoon. He thought that if any one of us saw him prowling around the house, he'd have time to get back to his room during the excitement.
Poor devil. If he'd only believed in the curse on the treasure.
We'll all be killed, one by one, just like rats in a trap. And for what? Just a few paltry dollars. I, for one, am leaving this house immediately. Horatio?
$2 million's not paltry.
Nobody's
back in
leaving
those
this
days.
joint until I solve this murder.
Horatio!
And if anything, your
Are
share
you
just
going
got
to allow
bigger.
this vulgarian to browbeat me?
Sit down.
Now, see here, my man.
Sit down.
Oh, if I were only married to a man instead of a dictionary.
Now listen. Nobody's putting nothing over on me about this ape business. There's a murderer in this house, and I'm going to find him.
Yes, and while you're trying to find the murderer, we'll all be killed.
Oh, no, you won't. I'll keep my eye on every one of you. I won't turn my back for a minute.
Okay, all right. God.
Give me police headquarters. This is Pickens. Let me talk
This
to
job
Coroner.
is way too complex for me. I need to call him
Hello,
back.
Bud. Come on out and get another body. Yeah, somebody croaked him when I turned my back. Oh, don't worry. With Ned Pickens on the job, there'll be no more murder.
Right on cue.
Wait a minute. Who's out of this room?
Armstrong.
The insurance guy. He's the one I suspected all along. Let go! Help! Wait! Help! Help!
This gorilla's gonna break my arm.
I'm not insured for this. My insurance doesn't cover gorillas.
Quick, the ape that went out that window.
All right.
What do you want to do? Let it get away?
All right. Let's hear what happened.
Well, after I left Fells's room, I came in here for a handkerchief. The incense was burning. Then all of a sudden I heard the tom-toms, and the ape climbed in through that window.
I suppose you expect us to believe that, Hooey.
Well, what do you mean?
Find the apes?
No.
No apes.
What about the garage?
Nothing there.
Do you hear that? We've combed this house and grounds from end to end, and there's no apes around. You're the guy that called our attention to this instance before. You know what I think? What? I think you're the murderer. And this last gag of yours is just a stunt to throw suspicion away from yourself.
Why, that's absurd.
I've been listening to some of your talk, and I know what your purpose is.
You're crazy.
Yeah, crazy like a fox. You cooked up this whole thing for one reason.
And what's that?
So as you could sell a lot of insurance.
I've never heard anything so ridiculous in my
Lawyer,
life.
Clancy, put him under arrest, and then there won't be any more murders.
Was that necessary? Uh-oh, finally. After 35 years.
Curse finally got.
She dead too? Oh no, he's
dead.
alive.
That Poco spirit sure let her down.
It's definitely him.
How's he?
He'll be all right.
He's not paralyzed. It's always the guy in the
Yeah,
wheelchair. In these old movies. It just is.
What happened?
It was in the Monster Walks. You remember that? Well, you probably, yeah, it's not a very memorable movie. It was a guy in a wheelchair.
Miss Walker felt faint. She started towards the French window to get some air. Suddenly the tom-toms began. The ape came through the window. She screamed. He grabbed her. That's all I remember. I must have fainted.
Well, Mr. Big Shot, I guess that lets me out.
Bodies are really piling up here in the middle.
Yeah.
Usually the middle tends to be a lull in the movies on this show. They save it all for the
Save
end.
yourself the trouble, Inspector. I assure you that ape is quite dead.
It's ridiculous, keeping us cooped up here like this. 3 people have been killed already. The house is bewitched.
Mr. Ellis, you are our attorney. I insist, that is, Mrs. Potter insists, that you take means to get us out of here.
My clients are perfectly justified in wishing to leave here, Inspector. You have no right to make them stay here, to become victims of whatever's going on in this house. You're no closer to the solution of this mystery than you were after the first murder. Boy, you ought to get a medal for the way you gummed this case up.
This isn't the case.
You ought to get a medal for the way you gummed that line up, buddy.
Hello. Oh, hello, bud. Yeah, I'm up to my neck in apes. Come on out. We got 2 bodies for you now. By the time you get here, it'll probably be an even half dozen.
so much for no more murders.
I'm
on
bad
my
at my
watch.
job, and I'm just accepting it now.
Look, I'm in way over my head
corner,
here.
and then we'll
I
call
really
it a night.
can't get a handle on this ape thing.
Cigarette. Cigarette. When the coroner gets here, why, we'll take a statement from each of you as to what you did and saw last night.
These fucking guys, man.
And we'll all meet at the district attorney's office tomorrow. Where? Clancy! Cover that door. Cover everything. Look there. If it looks suspicious, let him have it.
Oh my God. Yeah, please light him up.
Well, hello. What do you mean, hello?
Oh, just hello.
Where have you been for the last half hour?
Oh, here, there.
Yeah, well, just what have you been doing here and there?
Oh, this and that.
You know anything about this Tom?
What's his last name?
Say, listen, you. Pop out with a good alibi or I'll pinch you for murder.
The only way that you can prove that you're not a murderer around here is to get yourself killed.
Batu to the veranda.
What'd she say?
She thinks I should go out into the garden and get some air.
Well, all right. Don't try to make a getaway. There's a cop out there. Who's that? Where? At the door. Fire!
Oh shit.
Oh, geez.
Wait, what? Oh.
Be calm, everybody. Be calm. Who's dead or missing? Smith. Where's
Who's
Smith?
dead or
Yeah, I
missing?
figured that out, too.
If you're dead, raise your
I'm
hand.
going to find Mr. Pren. He may be hurt.
All right.
Inspector, what? Read this.
Inspector Pickens, get Ellis and his clients out of the house and meet me at his office. Withdraw your officers and make it look like you're giving up the case. Scotland Yard.
What do you make of
This is America. What is Scotland? What jurisdiction does Scotland Yard have
He
here?
knows what he's writing about, and I suggest that we follow his instructions.
Well, I should say so. If you don't value your lives, I value mine.
Say, remember, this is a frame-up of yours. Pickens will be right with you. Clancy, go out and find Penn and that Hindu woman and tell him I want him at the district attorney's office tomorrow. And make it emphatic.
Tomorrow.
Emphatic.
Wait a minute. What about Ella? Miss Browning. We can't go out and leave her here alone.
Oh, fiddlesticks. She's lived here long enough without getting into trouble. Let's get out of here.
Yeah, I want to meet this Scotland Yard guy and get the lowdown. Maybe it's an English ape.
Oh my
The
god.
district attorney wants to see us as soon as we get through here.
Well, there's almost time for Scotland Yard to put in an appearance.
I bet this is all just a scheme to get us away from the Pren house. I've been doing some thinking, and it's going to take more than an old coot of an ape to make me give up my share of that money. It's too bad that ape didn't attack me.
Yes, it is too bad.
What's that?
If he had, I have
Wow,
no doubt
he's
what the outcome would have
she
been.
might not want to sleep with her back to him because I think he's kind of building up some aggression over her constant insults.
He's the ape. This is all just a long con to eventually kill his wife.
And that is gonna take us to our second break. What are we thinking so far, Evan?
I can't get over this inspector character. He's so he's so intense for how utterly incompetent he is.
That's what I'm saying. It's definitely giving Ritz Brothers vibes.
It really
They're
is.
just
yeah.
so. I mean, again, the one guy kicking Prim in the legs was just
That was incredible.
I didn't see it coming.
No.
I think that's why it was so hilarious because it was just look over there, pop. Like, what movie are we in? What is happening here? It's definitely some slapstick hilarity.
I like how they just like they're yelling so much. Was it like standard procedure back in the day for a cop to just walk up to the scene and go, "All right, who did it?"
Yeah, I think so. You know, I mean, again, that's the American equivalent of what sold this then. You know,
Yeah.
Who did it? I mean, again, I do really though. You cannot stress enough how much it must just be an eternal cop trope in plays and movies and television that as soon as they walk into the crime scene, they got to make a wisecrack. They gotta sneak one in at some point. I mean, and you know, a very timely reference like Prohibition. I mean, I'm sure that killed back in 1934. Yeah, so I mean, I'm enjoying this movie. There's enough going on that it's keeping my interest. The body count has been serviceable. What are we at? 3?
Yeah.
I think 3. We're not at 4 quite yet. Sure, we'll get there before we get to the climax, but yeah, I mean, it's yeah, the comedy is serviceable, like with these detectives. Honestly,
We've got a lot of characters.
That was
in this one.
As we've seen everybody crammed into these rooms. I have thought the exact same thing. It's like for a monogram. I mean, again, that's the difference between early monogram and later monogram is that I think they would put a little bit more budget into these things compared to what they would do later. I mean, it's your classic schedule. They shot this in like 5 days. And, interesting fun fact, the original structure that was the monogram studio is now part of the Church of Scientology Media Center.
Oh, okay.
So if you're in Los Angeles and you wanna go see where Bela Lugosi used to trudge around, where they're now showing Dianetics training videos. I don't know what the fuck. I don't know anything about Scientology, man.
If you want to get your thetan count checked.
Yeah, then you can head over to the Church of Scientology Media Center. God, please don't. We're not recommending that at all. That is not a Scream Stream recommendation. It's more if you want to see the old monogram lot. But yeah, that's kind of a weird fact, but it's a big cast, and there's been some familiar faces. As we said, the meek husband actually also appeared in The Ape, the other adaptation of the play that tonight's movie's based on. He played like another doctor in that is like Karloff is like he's like helping Karloff out, but he's like, if anybody found out what you were doing in the town, it probably wouldn't go too well. And that's, that's his, but he gives him a warning, and that's that. So you got to appreciate that. And there's a few, nobody really big horror wise. Our annoying insurance salesman, played by an actor named Ed Lowry. This was his only feature film role. Go figure. Big surprise there. He's not really very charismatic. And earlier, the Hindu priest, which, we didn't see very much of him. He had a lot of lines, though, played by an actor named Brandon Hurst, not Asian, just a white man in makeup, classic Hollywood for you. But we've seen him in White Zombie. He's the butler to the plantation owner, and he gets thrown into the water by all the zombies, thrown into like a rushing, I don't know, in the castle there's like some kind of like sewer system at the bottom. It's got rushing water. I guess it goes into the sea because they're right at the ocean. But that was a prominent speaking role for him. He was also the villain in Hunchback of Notre Dame, which of course we wouldn't know because it's a silent movie. Hard to hard to remember everything in that 2-hour-long silent movie. But yeah, I mean, most of the other actors, I mean, nobody really did anything too prominent. So, and I mean, we've had some ape action going on. As we said, we've seen the ape actor Emil Van Horn before in The Ape Man, and he's doing a good job tonight, but we don't know if it's a real ape committing these killings or if it's a person in a suit, but I would imagine.
Has every killing been off screen?
Yeah, unfortunately it has been. Yeah, we've seen the shadow of the ape and then a kill happen right after, but no actual connection. So kind of copping out on that, but I mean, again, it's serviceable so far. I don't think that the other Ape Core movies from around this time really are very explicit with the murders. I don't even think Murders in the Rue Morgue. It was pre-cut, so it's a little more explicit, but not much so. But the Ape Core genre, like again, it probably peaked in the 40s. By the 50s, it was kind of dying out. So 60s, 70s, you get a few like one-offs here or there, and of course you get your King Kong remakes and sequels, but it's not, no, I wouldn't necessarily consider King Kong like it is ape core,
It's kind of
but
different. I would say it's more of a giant monster movie.
I would agree. Yeah, there is a difference. Although that is the beauty of the like 60s movies and I think the 70s remake of King Kong is that it's a person in a suit, which it's kind of, it's just ridiculous. It's kind of hard to pull off. A person in an ape suit looks like a person in an ape suit. Even in 2001, A Space Odyssey, one of the most acclaimed movies of all time, those apes are very, they're supposed to be kind of human looking, but they're very obviously costumes. So, which I don't know, maybe you call 2001 A Space Odyssey ape core even. Who knows? I mean, there's the violent, scariest scenes of that movie. Some of them are the scenes with the ape. So that's something to be said for that. But there are examples of late stage ape core in the 80s. And those are the trailers that we're going to be getting for our break. So you get some really interesting ones. The first trailer that we're going to see is from a 1988 film entitled Monkey Shines, directed by, of all people, George Romero, one of the greatest independent horror filmmakers of all time. I love, we are saving Night of the Living Dead till a very special day. But Monkey Shines was an interesting, kind of weird movie in his career, but it's basically about a man who's injured in an accident, becomes a paraplegic, and a monkey is used to help him in his like day-to-day activities. But the monkey is like part of some kind of experiments or something, and then starts trying to kill him. And there's an episode of Malcolm in the Middle that parodies it, where the guy that Lois works with, Craig, like gets injured, and he has a monkey that's helping him out.
I've seen
Have
that
you seen that
episode.
one? Yeah. That's it's based on Monkey Shines.
Okay.
So that's fun little fact there. So that's their 80s ape core, man. It's kind of surprising, but that's 88, and it comes from one of the masters of horror. So I haven't seen it, but I think I'm gonna have to check it out. The second trailer that we're gonna see is for a 1986 ape core film from Cannon Films, who is kind of like they're like one of the big exploitation studios of the 80s. They made a lot of over-the-top action movies with Chuck Norris and just all these really like low-budget movies that were really cheesy and over the top. And they made a movie called Link, which is kind of really in the vein of your traditional kind of a mad scientist is experimenting on apes and creates these super intelligent apes that then start like have murderous instincts and start killing people. And it's a horror movie. So that's about as late as I think we get as a really true original ape core movie that isn't, if you want to consider Congo an ape core film, which Cylon probably would. He loves that movie. I don't know if you're familiar with Congo.
I haven't seen that.
It's from '96, and it's it's based on a Michael Crichton story, or maybe he wrote the script or directed the movie. He had something to do with the movie, but it's about these intelligent apes, and I don't know. Job loves it. I'm not a fan of it, but if you could probably call that ape core. But in terms of straight up horror movies, Link and Monkey Shines are probably about as late as you're gonna find. So these are interesting trailers. So we're gonna get these two trailers, and then when we come back, we're gonna get into the exciting conclusion of The House of Mystery. So stick around. We'll be right back.
Once there was a man whose prison was a chair. The man had a monkey, they made the strangest pair.
What kind of experiment was it, Jeff? What did you do to Ella? What did you do to me?
The man was the prisoner. The monkey held the key.
You want to be the boss now, is that it?
Stop it! No matter how he tried, the man couldn't flee. Locked in his prison, terrified and frail,
Jeff, what is it? Jeff, she's here. She's down here.
the monkey gaining power, keeping him in jail.
Ella, no. Don't do it.
The man tried to keep the monkey from his brain, but every move he made became the monkey's gain.
Did you do that, or did she?
She did it.
That's right. She did it.
The monkey ruled the man. It climbed inside his head. And now, as fate would have it, one of them is dead. Monkey Shines, an experiment in fear.
For centuries, the link between man and the primates has been shrouded in darkness, surrounded by mystery.
Dr. Phillip is expecting me.
Now, one man has closed the gap,
Well, he's a different kind of intelligence.
forged the link.
It's different, all right.
And discovered what has always been missing.
Don't get involved in their squabbles. They sort them out.
Link, what happened in here?
Always forgive them, whatever they do. Don't ever let anything escalate.
You all right?
They killed Dennis.
Link, I said stop pushing! Open the door now! We've got to outthink him.
How?
Link. Man is no longer in control.
And we are back. And Evan, you were skirting in here right as that was ended. You didn't see that was an orangutan causing all that.
Oh my
all
god,
that
the
trouble.
explosions. And
Oh
everything.
yeah. You should have said like right up to that. It was showing the ape. Like at one point, it jumped out of a window and was like spiraling out. Like it was legit doing some work. It
Yeah,
was
now
kinda
that's
wild.
how you do an ape core movie.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna have to actually check out Link because it looks like a lot of fun. Yeah, you don't get a lot of ape core movies consistently after the 50s, and so seeing some two interesting looking 80s examples, they're going to be worth checking out. And hey, maybe you will look at the 90s ones. Maybe they're not straight up horror movies. Congo's not a straight up horror movie. Dunstan checks in. You could call that an ape core movie, even though it's not a horror movie, but still they got a real orangutan interacting with Jason Alexander, and at any point that orangutan could have just snapped and ripped everybody's faces off. And you just anytime I watch like some kind of old movie media with an actual ape interacting with people, there is a bit of a like I suck air, like
Yeah, it's just
because nothing's gonna happen, but there's still just like this. Oh,
something
my
could.
God, this could have gone
Yeah.
so bad, And now, obviously, they'll never use a real ape in a movie again.
Yeah, I mean,
probably.
let's look at
Nope.
Nope.
Which they shouldn't use a real ape, but it doesn't look. I'd rather see a person in a suit or an animatronic than a CGI.
Yeah.
Like you could do a really cool makeup, or you could do something else that isn't CGI. CGI just kind of sucks. But that's not Jordan Peele's fault. I'm sure he was kind of forced into that. But see, if that movie was more about that story, that'd be an ape core movie.
It would
But
be,
like
yeah.
that is like one sliver which is just tangentially related to the whole larger plot of the alien stuff.
Yeah,
Like it could have been its own separate movie. He should have just been like, oh, this is just a separate idea. Instead, he shoehorned it in a way that's like, okay, I guess it kind of makes sense. But
right.
like,
Yeah.
I want to know more, but I'm not gonna get it.
The movie should have been about the chimpanzee. The whole stuff with the alien should have just been a
different movie.
Well, just something that's like briefly touched on. In a
Yeah, just to
flashback.
revert. You just switch it.
Oh yeah, there's that time we had to fight that alien.
Right. I would have. I think I would have preferred that. I think we all would have. I mean, that's definitely. If you were looking for a horror movie, that's like the most chilling part of that whole movie. And then the rest in terms of scope, it's great, but in terms of horror, it's kind of underwhelmed. I mean, there's some interesting touches, but let's get Ape Core. Let's get more Ape Core. Let's bring it back. Until then, we're gonna be burning through all these. I'm sure there are like 5 more old Dark House Ape Core combos. Oh, Evan, you froze. Don't worry, Evan. I'll save you. I'm coming to your rescue.
I'm in the Phantom Zone.
Yeah, you really are. What is that? You're going in and out, which is kind of weird.
Got a bit of a lag here.
Just a little bit. Oh, now you're just totally gone. Hold on, we'll play with you a little bit. Let's see. And now, no, you're still not there. I shouldn't have turned it off. All right. Hold on, we'll give it 3rd time's a charm. Here we go. Hey! Oh, it's still doing it. I don't know. It'll glitch in and out. We'll let you.
It'll be okay.
Yeah, see, you're back.
Yeah.
We'll let it do its thing. You'll sort itself out. Technology. Speaking of sorting it all out, we've got to get into the exciting conclusion of the House of Mystery and figure out just who the killer is. Because I'm thinking it's probably not an ape, unfortunately. I think we're going to be disappointed. Wow, Evan, you fell asleep on me.
Uh-oh.
Oh, don't worry. I'm sure you'll come back. I'm sure you'll wake up. But meanwhile, do some ventriloquism. Tell me how you think this is going to shake out.
I think this cop's he's so intense. I think maybe he's looking a little suspicious.
He definitely is. He's coming with a lot of gusto, a lot of energy, and it does feel like he could be up to something.
And they do all look like mobsters.
They do, with their white hats. I don't know what it is about the hat fashion in this movie, but they're killing it so far. I feel like. There he is.
There we are.
Okay, we'll see. We'll see how long that lasts.
So, fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. So, anything before we get into it, Evan?
I bet the gold's gonna be inside that ape.
That would make sense. That would track.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see if
it's always in the place where the person says, "No, don't touch that."
Yeah, that's right. That's a very good point. Yeah, we've learned 2 important things when it comes to these old Dark House movies. The hidden treasure is always the place they tell you can't look, and the person behind it all is usually the guy in the wheelchair. That cop who kicked the guy in the wheelchair had the right idea.
Should have kicked him a little harder.
He just should have, yeah. He's just not a very strong guy. So, on that note, I think we're going to go ahead and get into the exciting conclusion of the House of Mystery right now.
Why, Ella, dear, where are you going?
I'm leaving, Mr. Prince.
Leaving? What for?
I'm afraid of what's going on in this house. There might be more murders.
I don't think so, my dear. Now those other people are gone.
Why, you think they had something to do with the murders?
One of them did. I'm quite sure of that, my dear.
But what about the ape?
I've come to believe that the ape was an obsession of mine, brought on by brooding for years over that foolish curse. Please don't leave me.
I don't know what to say, Mr. Prince.
You know, there's something I've wanted to talk to you about for days. But I hesitated because... Ella, darling, I wanted to ask you to be my wife.
I knew it.
Why, no, dear, she's just my housekeeper. You know, she's been brooding a great deal lately, and I think she's terribly homesick. And I think I'll let her go back. There's no hurry. Take your time and think it over.
I think I'll let her go back.
Well,
In the meantime, please don't leave me. And after all, my dear, a brave little nurse doesn't run away from her duty.
all right, Mr. Pren. I'll stay.
Wow, what a
I think
dick.
I'll go to bed now. Good night. Scotland Yard.
Oh.
What?
It's me, Scotland Yard.
The man from Scotland Yard?
Yep, I've seen him before. He's the McCoy, all right.
Scotland Yard. Incredible.
Scotland Yard first became interested in the case when 2 people were killed in Friend's house in London.
This guy doesn't
That's
sound
the
like
yard
Scotland
officers in London.
Yard.
And they came to believe implicitly that the Hindu curse was behind the murder.
Nonsense.
That's what I thought. And when I was assigned to the case, I found out that Mr. Pren was having a new water system installed in his house. That's how I became the dumb plumber.
Have you solved this mystery yet?
I have.
Then why didn't you tell us about it last night and prevent the murders?
But I didn't solve it until after the murder. As a matter of fact, we haven't any actionable evidence yet. We must trap the ape and whoever's behind him. That's why I asked you to meet me here.
All right, let's hear the story.
Well, we're not all here yet. We must wait for Miss Ella Browning.
But you didn't say anything about her in your note.
She wasn't in the room when I left. One of you would have had to tell her. And the walls at the Pren house have ears. I left a note in her room. She should be here any minute.
Why didn't you tell me? I'd have gotten her out of there. I don't care for this whole setup.
Shanda, you know, I don't think you've been looking at all well lately.
You think so, Sahib?
Yes, I was thinking that an ocean voyage might do you good. How do you think you'd like a trip back home?
Will the Sahib go with me?
Well, no. No, you see, Shanda, I have a lot of important things to attend to here.
Do you wish me to go alone?
Yes. Well, that is, you can go on ahead, and as soon as I clear things up, I'll join you.
Very well.
That's a good girl.
Man, he's drinking again.
It's not you, it's me.
Uh-oh, here it is. Go on, stand up. Now that you got the booze in your
Got
system.
that miracle liquor. Red Bull will give you wings, but brandy will give you legs.
Hey, that's great.
Not bad for a cripple, eh?
My people have taught the Sahib many tricks.
You know, I have to laugh when I think how we fooled all those saps with the curse of Kalai. Kalai, old kid, you're all right. Come on, Shanda. Drink a toast to Kalai. Kalai, my pal.
He was just still a drunk the whole time.
Here you are
all
to
along.
Kalai, who knows nothing.
And here's to Kalai, who knows everything.
Well, here's to both of them. All 6 of them. Long may they wave.
Might be poison.
Yes, sir, Kalai. We certainly fooled them, didn't we? When that old priest of yours spouted all that junk about a curse. He didn't know I'd have a chance to make good use of it someday, did he? Did he? There.
Oh.
Mm.
Beep.
You...
Bye-bye.
Oh.
Shanda! Shanda!
Oh, shit. Oh, it's okay. I can talk.
It's the Tom-Tom. Another murder. Ella, if anything happens to that girl...
I'll be able to collect on my policy.
Tom-Tom's again.
Sheila, I gotta
know,
list me as the
but it's
beneficiary.
gone now. Where's Mr. Prem? He is asleep. Poor man, he's tired. The Tom-Toms didn't even awaken him. Are you sure he's asleep? He's asleep. The Mam Sahib must also be tired. Why does she not go to rest? Oh, that's what I was trying to do when those darn Tom-Toms started again.
Knows that it means death. Not worried about it. Heard those darn Tom-Toms again.
It is done, O Kali. Revenge is thine.
For now, you're free. Be free. Go. Go on, get. Oh.
Oh.
Oh, what?
Okay.
Alright, I guess she's in cahoots with somebody. But who? The lawyer.
Got a crooked lawyer.
It couldn't be him. He was just with everybody at the with Scotland Yard. But they're not even giving that guy a name. They're just like, he's Scotland Yard.
That's his name. Detective Yard.
Of the Yard? No, last name's Yard.
Unrelated. No relation.
This is a classic ape core trope. The ape coming into his sleeping woman's bedroom. Chasing her around. Screaming. I can't see shit in this thing. I can't breathe. There we go.
Yeah.
That's her room.
There are so many characters. You look at all 9 of them running past the camera. And I came in blasting.
What are you trying to do? Want to see who it is? Why, his head won't come off. Huh? Why, this ape's the real McCoy.
Yeah.
Okay, we got a real ape.
The whole thing is so obvious, folks. This man, Friend, was a self-centered miser. And when the investors in the old expedition insisted on a showdown, he preferred to kill them rather than give up the money. Is that clear?
The only thing that's clear to me is that we're not going to get any of that money.
Now, this Shonda, the Hindu woman, was also a priestess of Kali and could train an ape.
Where did they get the ape?
6 months ago, an ape was stolen from the Metropolitan Zoo. The same thing happened in London a year ago.
Mr. Smith, what we'd really like to know is how the murders were committed.
Here. Very simple, my dear Mr. Dickens. Very simple. The ape was trained to go immediately to the incense when it heard the tom-tom and break the neck of the first person it met. Browning, I hope you've recovered from the shock. Thank you very much.
Yeah, they got me
Where
out of
did they
having to
hide
marry
you
that
at?
old man.
In the secret panel of that
I'm
bookcase.
doing great.
Ah.
But Pren was paralyzed. Clancy proved that.
That's what he thought. But a man of Pren's willpower could easily fail to react to a kick in the shins.
If Pren was the murderer, how come he got croaked?
Yeah. Chanda was jealous of Miss Browning, the nurse, and had the ape kill Pren. She also tried to have the ape kill Miss Browning.
Chanda, while we're standing here gassing, she's getting away. Boyer, Clancy.
Don't worry. She won't get far. I've attended to that.
It looks like everybody's handling this case but me.
You're right about that, man.
He petulantly storms
He's
off.
gonna find the gold, though. You're right.
Yeah.
I found it.
Numbskull, yeah, that was coming. But
that's it.
Wow, that was the House of Mystery. What do we think, Evan?
Oh gosh, that was actually a pretty fun movie.
So I guess it turned out that the gold ended up just being a MacGuffin. It just didn't materialize at the end. It never
doesn't
existed.
matter.
Doesn't matter. I thought you were right though. I thought it was gonna be in the ape or something. No, they the lame comic relief joke of the dweeby guy coming up with the I found this, huh?
And the cop going, "How come I didn't get to solve the mystery?" And then storming off.
That really sent me over the edge. I mean, those characters weren't already frustrating enough. I mean, he had some great lines though, I gotta say. They, for being ineffectual cops, they were pretty solid comic relief. Yeah, I mean, there was some decent ape action in the last third of the movie, and I'm kind of surprised that it turned out to be a real ape, even though it was logical. There was logic behind it. It's trained, I
guess was she the one playing the tom-toms?
I guess she must have been.
Guess.
They don't really, again, it's much like
it's not magic.
Yeah.
I think there's a logical explanation for all this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, again, most of your early 30 horror movies are going to take that tack. They're going to, by the end, give you a logical way to explain everything that happened and dismiss any supernatural possibilities. So it's, very rare that you find the ones that either embrace the supernatural or, embrace that it's something out of the ordinary that can't just be explained away by a person in a costume or a mask or, it's kind of a tried and true like horror villain, but you gotta love it when there's actually some kind of monster. I mean, even when it's a trained ape. So,
how do you train a gorilla to break somebody's neck? Do you have a crash dummy and you give it a banana every time it...
Yeah, you just, back in those days, you just go pick up a bunch of kittens and puppies off the street and you just bring them back to the ape to practice on, I mean, they may not, tell you the truth about Coco the gorilla, but that she went through 6 or 7 kittens before she finally got the one that she held on to for the longest.
I want to see a movie where Coco the gorilla is a trained assassin.
I mean, we were one coked up executive away from getting that movie in the 90s with Robin Williams. I mean, we were so close. It would have been a lot of fun. I don't know, maybe we'll Mandela effect that into existence and people will think, no, I swear there was a movie where Robin Williams was paired with a gorilla and they were an elite spy team. They were going around taking people out. What could have been, maybe Robin would have gotten there eventually. Seems like a 2010s coked up executive idea too. Could have worked. Yeah. A lot of trade off, but I'd say overall enjoyable movie. Kept my attention. Kind of, I was surprised. I was just kind of again, when you have an old Dark House movie that doesn't have an ape in it, it is kind of a little more stodgy. It's a little more boring. I mean, you're trying to figure out who the killer is, but something about that, an ape definitely adds something extra that, you know, enlivens the proceedings of an old Dark House movie, which is kind of the same every time.
Yeah.
So I
So
appreciate
it's an
that.
interesting spin. It's kind of
Yeah.
the like Venn diagram between these two subgenres.
Right. Yeah, I mean, and it's funny how, of course these all end up public domain, right? And it's people just really hate these ape core old Dark House movies. I don't know what it is. But yeah, I mean this movie definitely had more than I was expecting. So, pleasantly surprised with it. And I think that there could still be some good modern day ape core movies to be made. I don't think that the genre is all that dead. I think I gotta come up with something. I gotta write something. I feel
Yeah,
like
I mean, I think you could pretty easily do a horror thing, or if you're trying to do something that's more. Does the old Dark House genre still kind of exist? I'm trying to think of like what the modern equivalent of that is.
not really, honestly. I mean, I think you get murder mysteries like Knives Out, that are kind of these big things where you got all the. But in terms of people being stranded in a house during the night and all these crazy weird things happening, yeah, it's not. I mean, it's. I guess it makes more sense in the days of like old Europe, old America. You're traveling, your car breaks down, you're stranded. The only place within miles is this creepy old home, and it's your only choice, and you have to. I mean, Rocky Horror Picture Show, right?
Right, yeah.
There's a reason that's in kind of an old school plot because it's just travel's more reliable. The old houses have been demolished, like it's just
Yeah,
not
nowadays people would just call an Uber and leave the house.
right. I mean, it's just the practic. The I mean, again, the effective horror comes from finding the reality, finding the things that are relatable in everyday life. You're like, oh, that could happen to me, and that's terrifying. I feel like that was probably more common to get these scenarios back in the day versus, I mean, and that's just, I guess, like what new horror kind of thrives on versus like where gothic horror and atmosphere and these things that it wasn't, all dependent on gore and content that's supposed to make you cringe or look away, kind of the perception of what is effective horror has always changed kind of over time, but I do think that there is a potential to kind of find a modern old Dark House plot that would be relatable and effective, and find an ape core plot that would be relatable and effective. So
all
we'll
right.
work on it.
We'll get on it.
We'll get right on it. Until then, we're going to be serving up our public domain horror movies like we always do. And of course, it wouldn't be the holidays without a Scream Stream special. And of course, we're going to be celebrating Christmas next Friday with our second Christmas special. Last year, we watched Silent Night, Bloody Night, which was a really great movie, a great time. Really, that's an early slasher, and it's in color, and there's a lot that was. John Carradine was in it. It was a fun movie. And so this time around, we're going to get something a little bit lighter, a little bit more family friendly, let's say. Because next week, we're going to be watching Santa Claus Conquers the Martians. If you know anything, if you know anything about this movie, it's considered one of the worst movies of all time, on par with Plan 9, which we started this season off with. So I think it's appropriate that this is our Christmas special this season. And I've seen bits and pieces of it, but I haven't seen it all the way through. It's from 1964. It is in color. And it is just very cheesy and over the top. And I think it's partially a musical. There are some songs in it.
Okay,
So,
great.
if you want to sing along, there's gonna be a lot of opportunities. It should be a really warm, fuzzy way to spend our Christmas. So I'm glad that we get to celebrate the holiday season with Santa Claus Conquers the Martians. You guys are in for a treat. So you can catch that next Friday. I don't know if it will be at 8:30 or 9 or 8. We gotta hash out a time, but next Friday we'll be doing our Christmas special. And of course, we'll be on the airwaves next Wednesday for the 5th exciting chapter of The Whispering Shadow.
Still hacking away at that mystery.
We're still not any closer to getting a clear handle on who the shadow is, but we're working through it. We've gotten some nice cliffhangers, and we've gotten some good fights and some good chases and
pretty impressive stunts.
Yeah, a lot of great stunts. So it's a good way to spend your Wednesday. So if you're looking for a way to unwind in the middle of your week, then you can hop in on the Whispering Shadow, because it's there. You'll get a lot of recaps between the clip shows and the opening like 2 minutes, which usually is just the last 2 minutes of the last episode, along with some intertitles that tell you who everybody is. So if you're hopping into it, that's okay. It's very friendly for that. Yeah. Thanks everybody so much for watching tonight. As always, we really appreciate it. Everybody on YouTube and Twitch. And of course, if you want to catch up on any of our past episodes, if you want to check out last season's Christmas special before this season's, then you can go find that and all our other videos over on our YouTube page at Scream Stream Live. You can go like and subscribe and check out our shorts and all that good stuff. And of course, if you want to follow the show on the socials, we're also on Instagram and X and TikTok at Scream Stream Show. You can find me over on X at Spakenstein. And of course, Mr. Evan Sink is on X and Instagram at Caligari Cursed. Anything before we sign off tonight, Evan?
You know who's really not going to be happy to learn the mystery was solved tonight?
Who?
The zoo.
Somebody's gonna be paying out of pocket for a dead ape.
So the good news is we found your gorilla.
The bad news is it has about 50 bullets in it. Until next week, sweet screams, everybody.
And to all a good fright.